Everyone, welcome back. We are now at one of the most crucial sessions of the conference. We are taking a deep dive into a country-wise 2025 Sesame crop review and outlook. This session is chaired by the Senior Vice President and the Business Unit Head for Specialty Grains and Seeds, Olam Agri, Mr. Sanjeev Sharma. Based in Singapore, he's the Senior Vice President. He heads the Specialty Grains and Seeds at Olam International. With over 25 years of experience, he has led Olam's global sesame seed business since 2009, elevating it to the industry leadership. He also additionally oversees the superfoods business, including ancient grains and specialty seeds like quinoa, chia, and amaranth. And he holds a mechanical engineering degree from PC University of Technology and MBA from IIM Lucknow. I would like to first introduce all our speakers, and as the crowd builds up, I will invite everyone to please join us together on the stage. Our other speakers for this panel, starting with giving us a deep comprehensive look on India's story, will be Mr. Jay Chandarana, the CEO of Dhaval Agri Exports LLP. As the CEO of Dhaval Agri, which is the largest exporter of sesame seeds from India, which is also a 3-star export house recognized by the Government of India, Mr. Chandarana is looking after the overall management of his business, which is processing, manufacturing, and exporting of sesame seeds and spices. He is additionally the director of Anam Organics Private Limited, which is a startup with a view to provide best quality ingredients to Indian kitchens. Also an elected director of Indian Oilseeds and Produce Export Promotion Council, which is a nominated export promotion council for oilseeds in India. Giving us a deeper look on the Sudan story will be Ms. Amel W. Mahgoub. Ms. Amel Mahgoub is Executive GM of the Mahgoub Group from Sudan. She is also a graduate from SOAS University of London, focusing her qualification on BSc in Development of Economics, specifically for the MENA region. Giving us the Pakistan side of the story will be Mr. Mahesh Raja Manglani, the Director Commercial of Mast Qalander Group. Pakistan has been the driving force, as we just saw in some statistics that were shared with us a while earlier. Pakistan has been a driving force behind sesame exports. His company is one of the biggest key players in this region since 2011. With a visionary approach and deep expertise in agriculture, he has led the company to become a leader in the sesame export industry in Pakistan. Their focus, of course, is also on customer satisfaction, sustainability, and excellent key SOPs. Moving on, talking about Nigeria will be Mr. Godhan Bisht, the business unit head for sesame and oil seeds for Valency International Private Limited. Mr. Bisht is a seasoned commodity professional, and he has been since 2012 been with the Valency International Singapore, where he serves as a trader for oil seeds, specializing in sesame seed trading and international agri-commodity markets. Also, he holds a bachelor's degree in commerce from MBPG Kumau University and completed his schooling at St. Paul's. Moving on, our next country story will be on Brazil. And talking to us on Brazil will be Mr. Pietro Schisler, the Global Account Manager for Arbaza Alimentos. Mr. Schisler has worked across USA, China, South Korea, Hong Kong, and Brazil, adeptly navigating diverse markets and industries. Currently, as the Global Account Manager at Arbaza Alimentos, he focuses on expanding Brazilian agri products globally. With his multilingual skills that have allowed him to open new markets and contacts, he also is a certified Brazilian bar lawyer. He applies his legal knowledge to contracts and negotiations, specializing in international public law, corporate tax, and customs law. And as a member of LTDA, Brazil's leading business group, he continues to drive success in global marketplace. Giving us the Mozambique story will be Mr. Mustakim from Gulf-Alfa Group. Talking on Ethiopia will be Mr. Zelalem Zemede Lema, the General Manager, Ethiopian Pulses Oilseed Spices Processors Exporters Organization, or as we know it as EPOSPIA. With over 18 years of experience, he's a seasoned expert, respected leader in agribusiness with an MSc in management and a BSc in agricultural engineering, also a certified international trainer for ISO 9001-2026. He is also a regular contributor to mainstream media, writing insightful articles on agricultural policy, trade and market development, helping shape the public discourse in Ethiopia and beyond. Also joining us for Burkina Faso will be Mr. Dhaval Raninga of ETG. And finally, for Chad, we will have Mr. Yasser Al Ghul, the General Manager Trade Ventures for Chad. Mr. Yasser will be joining us online, and along with him, in order to make the presentation for the all-over overview for Chad, we will have Mr. Osama Saeed, the Director of Trade Ventures for their company, who would be giving us the exact presentation on Chad. As I complete all these profiles, let me yet again remind you, please download the My Evental Agri app. We have 2 contests running there simultaneously and winners will be announced tomorrow. But most importantly, the detailed profiles of all our speakers and the special guests to the conference, all the detailed profiles are available on the app for your perusal. With this, it's time for me to start inviting all our guests one after the other. And ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome them with a round of applause. You have fresh caffeine going in your nerves now. Let me see the energy. Starting with Mr. Sanjeev Sharma, the Sessions Chair. Sanjeev sir, please be seated in the center. Our other speakers, India overview, Mr. Jay Chandarana. Let's hear it for the India contingent. Hearing it for Sudan, Miss Amel Mahgoub. For Pakistan, Mr. Mahesh Raja Manglani. Nigeria, Mr. Godhan Bisht. Brazil, Mr. Pietro Schisler. From Mozambique, Mr. Mustakim. From Ethiopia, we have Mr. Zelalem Zemde Lema, Mr. Dhaval Raninga for Burkina Faso, and for Chad, Mr. Yasser Al Ghul and Mr. Osama Saeed online. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause as Mr. Sanjeev Sharma takes over this gigantic ship.
Thanks. So I think this is a very important session, very interesting session. For all these years, the supply side was always more predictable. You know, you could say Mozambique going plus minus 5%, Nigeria doing plus minus thing. Over the last couple of years, lots of things have got changed. The way Brazil has scaled up, the way Pakistan has scaled up, and a bit of a changes that have taken place in East Africa. You know, Sudan, Ethiopia, not as big as they used to be, but then we have smaller origins coming up. So it's going to be a very interesting session. I would not be standing in way of the important insights, the direct insights that people have from the origins. So we would have a format in which there is a presentation coming from each of these origins. We'll be limiting that to 3 to 5 minutes. And then we come to the floor. We would like to have your questions, and whatever questions emerge during this interaction, we'll try to understand and build a view on what is going to be the supply side. So without much ado, I'll give it back to the organizers to get the presentation started. First, we have our Chad participants.
Thank you so much, firstly, for having us. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Osama Saeed, the Director at Trade Ventures Group. And today I'll be telling you a bit more about Chad's role in the global sesame market. So to start, I'd like to just give a brief background about Chad as a country first. Chad is a landlocked country in Central Africa. It has a population of over 20 million, and it has over 200 ethnic groups speaking over 100 languages. It's an export-based economy, exporting a lot of crude oil, oilseeds, livestock, and agricultural products. And its GDP is 20 billion, and it's considered for sesame the 8th largest sesame producer globally. It has one of the lowest GDP per capita around the world. It's almost $1,000 GDP per capita. It ranks it at 171 and among the 5 lowest in Africa. To go back a bit, Chad produced about 220,000 metric tons last year, and it's expected to have a growth rate of about 10% on an ongoing basis as new areas in the eastern part of the country are being introduced. 90% of their sesame is actually exported. It has a very diverse food processing application due to its 47 to 49% oil content. And in terms of varieties of sesame, Chad predominantly produces white small sesame seeds, which account for 50%, followed by white large sesame seeds, which account for 40%. And they also produce smaller amounts of red sesame seeds, accounting for 7%, followed by mixed sesame seeds. If we look at their crop calendar, the harvest season is in November and December, followed by peak sales and exports taking place in January and February. If we look on the right, the main production city is Mondo, which still accounts for about 50% of their production, but this is expected to reduce as we go on as more and more production is being introduced in the east as well as in the other regions. Chad is a stable growing sesame seed producer. Most of its exports are going to Turkey. A lot of it is going to Nigeria, whether through smuggling or whether through official means. And China is also one of the very large buyers of Chad sesame. And in 2025, we're expecting a production of 255,000 metric tons. And then from then onwards, a growth of 10%. So if we look at the market drivers, the first one is definitely the rising health consciousness. Diets such as plant-based diets becoming predominant. They find sesame to be a good source of protein. And this is supported by the growing vegan and vegetarian diets in the EU, US, and Asia. Government agencies are also being seen to take an active investment approach in training, and especially in Africa, we see this. They're taking part in training, quality control, and farmer cooperatives, which is raising productivity and export readiness. There's also a rising demand that we're seeing from emerging markets, from places in the Middle East such as Saudi Arabia, UAE, Jordan, and Egypt, which use sesame in bakery, confectionery, and edible oil industries. Sesame is also increasingly being used in cosmetics and pharmaceutical, and this is really great, I think, for the industry because it creates a nice hedge for suppliers like us against food demand cycles. So now to go on to the challenges. One of the major challenges we see in Chad is there is a lot of government intervention. Things such as export tax or municipality fees can really play a big role in the cost of the products. And just to give you a live example, in July 2025, they had increased the export duties by 5%. So this immediately, directly affects the price we can export at. The second challenge, which is another big one, is transportation and logistics cost is still very expensive, mainly due to the lack of infrastructure. And this really limits Chad's competitiveness in the international markets. There are times when the UN has tenders for trucking in countries like Sudan, and suppliers from Chad or Cameroon for trucks end up taking part in those tenders. And, if they do win these tenders, you find that there's a big shortage of trucks and trucking costs becomes very high between Chad and any neighboring ports. Another challenge is the currency devaluation and price volatility. That always causes trade disruptions. And you also have the lack of standardized grading and certification system. And this makes importers, having a challenge. They really have to trust the supplier to be able to work with them and really find a good quality product. So we've seen how Chad has become a growing sesame producer over the years, and you can see its clear challenges in logistics and quality. And that's where we come in as Trade Ventures and try to bridge that gap. We're a family-owned company with the founders having more than 40% experience in the commodity trading industry. We have more than 6 subsidiaries and a team presence in over 12 countries. And these are just some of the product lines that we work with. And as you can see, sesame seeds is one of our main core products. We consider ourselves very large originators of sesame seeds from Chad. When we drive our efficiency by having two-way trade flows. We export sesames on one hand, and then we also import FMCG products, having our own distribution systems in each country. So we do have quite large teams in each one of those countries, whether Sudan, Ethiopia, or Chad. And for sesame, we offer all kinds of Sudanese sesame, Chadian sesame, and Ethiopian sesame. At Trade Ventures, we really strive to do our best to keep our quality standards as high as we can by having experienced origination teams on the ground, as well as having 2 state-of-the-art processing plants in Chad, as well as in Sudan, and 11 strategically located warehouses in each, spread around in each country, with over 100 trucks, which provide us that capacity that we need to face any bottlenecks that we may face in these African countries. So that's it. Thank you so much for your time and attention. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to answering some questions later on.
Yep. So thanks, Mr. Osama. That was great presentation on Chad. Next, we'll go to the country which was introduced as the biggest, one of the 3 biggest producers, consumers, exporters. So Jay Chandarana has a tough job to do on that. So over to you, Jay.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to have a session after the tea break. Everyone is high alert. So I would like to present on the Indian sesame crop scenario. Myself, Jay Chandarana, I represent Dhaval Agri Exports Limited. We are the largest exporters from India. Let me take you through the presentation. So this is just a snapshot of Indian supply and demand. I tried to keep the presentation very crisp with relevant data. So, I'm talking about the season in terms of India. So it's November to October. So we are talking about all the figures here from November 24 till July. I have tried to capture the data till July of 25. So the carry forward stock, as per our estimates in end of October 24, was around 60,000 tons in India. The Kharif production, we are estimating currently at 130, looking at the arrivals. The summer crop, which started to arrive in May of 25, the crop estimate is around 125,000 tons as per our estimate. Imports into India from November 24 to July of 25, this data is from government sources, 170,000 tons. The consumption we are estimating, which is the local consumption, which is our November, December, January demand, and also the processing losses for exports because of hulling and natural sortex, is totaling around 160,000 tons. Exports from India, November 24 to July 25, are 234,000 tons. So that gets us to a closing stock of around 90,000 tons ending July. So we are in September. The August consumption will need to be deducted from this. The average price of imports was 1278 and the average price of exports was 1722. Goes to show we are pitching ourselves as a value-added exporter of sesame. These are the top export markets of Indian sesame. EU being the largest. Of course, we had a dip in the middle. We'll discuss it in the next slide, but it remains a very important market for us. South Korea, USA come in second and third. USA now with the tariffs, it's an important name there. So these are the other countries which are also large import markets for India: Vietnam, Russia, Iraq, Israel, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, and Taiwan. So it's important to note that India exports to around 142 countries. So more or less everywhere on the globe we are exporting our sesame to. Total exports, as you can see, are on the rise. The data is from April to March, which is our financial year. So you can see from the lowest point, which I think we reached in the financial year of 23, was 228,000 tons. We have been increasing that. Last year we closed at 250,000 tons. And looking at the export figures month-on-month basis in the current year, we are expecting this figure to still rise 5 to 10% this year. This is the slide which I was talking about for the European Union. As everybody knows, India had an issue with ETO residues going for sesame imports, sesame exports to the EU. So just a timeline that I have prepared. So 2021 is when the issue came to light. In 2021, IOPPC, which is the nodal body for export promotion in India for sesame and other oilseeds, we came up with an SOP. And 2021-22 was, I think, the worst year. The exports went down. We were trying to find our feet. what we can do with the scenario. 21-22, sector started to understand the new requirements. After that, it has been, we've been doing a good job at it. You can see the export figures are improving year on year, and we can say now that we are firmly back in the EU as, one of the larger origins which supply to them. And more European importers are accepting Indian sesame back into their supply chain again. This is a snapshot of the 2025, the winter crop, which you can say now, which is under cultivation right now. The harvest is expected in October, first half. So as of 4th August, total area under cultivation declined by 7%. To 8.38 lakh hectares compared to 9 lakh tons, which is 9 lakh hectares, which is 900,000 hectares. So Gujarat state I belong to actually registered the steepest decline of 14%. Overall, we are looking at a 7% decline in India with regards to the total area under cultivation. Sowing progressed in time. The rains were on time, so the sowing has been done on all states in the normal window. There was, however, significant rain during the sowing and also post-sowing. So there are a lot of districts in India where we did not see the seed being able to germinate. Where a lot of water in the fields, a lot of waterlogging. We can say 10 to 15% waterlogging, and in these areas replanting was also not possible because of the continuous rains, and then it was too late. Of course, crop estimation is too early because even in September now the rains are going on in India. I can say it's not good for sesame. How bad it is, only time can tell. So these are the factors impacting sesame trade in India. I have tried to highlight the 4 major ones that I can see. Currency. Actually, this is a positive for us and not a challenge. Indian currency is relatively stable when we are comparing it to other origins in the world where sesame is being grown. Of late, it has been depreciating a little bit, and that is helping exports perform well. Logistics. Post the Red Sea fiasco or the issue, it has stabilized. Of course, transits are more, but still we are able to say that this is when the cargo will reach. In the middle, there was a lot of problems with regards to logistics, but now it is stabilized. Of course, the opening of the Suez Canal will definitely help Indian sesame and of course other exports. We're looking forward to that. Government policies. This is a very recent change. Just 2 days ago, there was an upheaval on all the GST rates. GSTs are indirect tax like VAT in most countries. So there was a major, you can say, changes in the rates, the tax slabs, and a lot of sesame-based finished products which were coming into the 18% tax bracket have been taken to 5%. So we feel that this will help in improving the domestic consumption of sesame seeds. US tariffs, of course, it's talk of the day. Mr. Trump, he doesn't like India as of right now. We are having a penal tariff of 25%, so the total tariff is 50%. However, we feel that this will not result in a decrease in exports from India, but definitely realignment will happen, where certain origins will focus on US and we will maybe take the market share there. They have to maybe countries like the Europe. These are some of the things to watch out for in 2025. Low prices. We are at multi-year lows across the world. All origins, most destinations, we are looking at very, very low prices. This will have an impact on the demand. We feel that the consumption has to go up. Normally, in blended oils, when sesame has very low price, this results in the rejig of the recipe. But we feel that impact this year will not be too much because all the other edible oil prices are also very low. Maybe we will see in the edible seed segment, we will see a good uptick in demand. Japan exports from India. There is a good potential of opening up of the Japanese market for Indian sesame, and it will provide a much needed boost for edible sesame, natural sesame exports from India. The rollback of US tariff, both the governments are in talks. We feel that sooner rather than later, this will be rolled back. We will be again looking at 25%. That is our optimism. And that could result in a short-term, increase in exports out of India because the buyers will like to replenish their stocks. Right now, most of the shipments from India are on pause. The buyers are using their inventory. once the tariffs are rolled back, they will definitely need to buy to replenish that. Yield improvement efforts, this is something that IOPPC and the Government of India is doing right now. We are trying to increase the seed replacement rate and giving them certified seeds, giving the farmers certified seeds. So to improve the yields, which Indian sesame yields are not very high if you compare to global peers like China, for example. The summer crop, to give you a perspective, the average yields in the winter crop in India are 250 to 300 kilos a hectare. Average yields in summer crop in India are 1,000 to 1,200 kilos an hectare. So it's a 4 times multiple. So IOPPC is exploring the potential of summer crop beyond Gujarat, where it is traditionally being sown. So new areas in MP and UP are being developed, and this will result in a rise in the summer crop and more income in the hands of farmers. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jay, for the insightful presentation. So next we will have Ms. Amel Mahgoub from Sudan presenting us on Sudan.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks.
Good morning. An overview of the rainy season this year, the challenges, cultivation status, production, economics, and a conclusion. So far, we've seen an average viable amount of rains, no floods observed so far, maybe a little bit in Darfur. But on the positive side, everything's looking good. Everyone is quite aware that Sudan war has been ongoing since 2023, and as every war, this has had a huge impact across the whole economy, in particular the production sector. High costs, including the lack of financing, logistics, infrastructure damage, this has all had a direct impact on the Sudan export profile. So far, the cultivation has been ongoing at a high cost, but in the safe states, everything's been reportedly going perfect, so we're expecting a good crop. This is just a cultivation map, and it shows the states where most of the sesame comes from. 1 and 2, Darfur, Kordofan, Gadaref, White Nile, Sennar, and Blue Nile. 1 and 2, at the moment, we've got partial of 2 inside operation, which is the east side of Kordofan. Darfur is currently out of the production cycle. All right, the sesame cultivation. This is just an overview on comparison between 2023 and 24 production versus 24, 25. 23 is the year where the war started. At that point, Darfur had already produced, and Kordofan, and almost all the states within Sudan. When we look at 2024 and 2025, we'll find that Darfur has been at almost 0. And then we have Kordofan, which was estimated at 2.6 million acres. A slight decrease from the year before, and Gadaref had taken a slightly higher position, compensating the areas that were out, or the areas that Darfur and Kordofan were contributing. We had Sennar out because it was under RSF siege. A total area of around 4.5. Now, this number is quite important because we compare this to the average of Sudan's planted area 2019 to 2023, which was totaling 11.2 almost million hectares. So it's just under, a 50% drop in the total production area of Sudan, which obviously has a direct impact on the available sesame produced. Everyone knows that we've got mechanized rain-fed production and traditional. The traditional rain-fed sector produces higher yields than the mechanized sector. But overall, the average still remains on a very low side, one of the lowest producing countries. Now, 2025, 2026 outlook, we're also assuming Darfur is still out of operation. Kordofan was estimated to plant a 1.2. Gadaref area was estimated to be 1, but the sesame planting time is over, and we do have numbers. So we're talking about 700,000. White Nile, 800. Sinnar is 800. Blue Nile was estimated at 715, but in reality it's 300,000. And then we've got a little bit of contribution here and there. So we're talking about a 4.8 million faddan, still way less than the average of Sudan, but almost 5% more than the year before. This leaves us with an estimated volume of around 374,000 tons, as opposed to 424,000, which if Kordofan was able to deliver this season. We are yet to find out. As compared to the previous years where Sudan was producing around 600,000 tons. The estimated for 2025 and 26 is actually lower, 337,000, with Gadarif estimated at 54,000 tons, which is almost a 50% drop for Gadarif origin, a little bit higher for the non-Gadarif origins production coming from Sinnar and White Nile state. With regards to the red sesame, that also comes from Darfur and Kordofan, so we're not expecting to see red sesame production. In conclusion, we're expecting to see the the production to come in late October, early November. We have an estimate of around 35 to 40,000 metric tons under shipment or to be consumed until the season starts. We do estimate, if everything is reported fine, no floods by the middle of September, around 350,000 to 380,000 tons. But due to logistical challenges, high increased costs, post-harvest losses, and so forth, we're expecting a total of 325,000 tons to be delivered to the market, with an average of 45 to 50,000 for local consumption, and the remaining available for export will be 280 on the positive side, 220 on the pessimistic side. This is just an overview for Sudan's export trend. Everyone knows we start high at the beginning of the year and we go towards a decline as the season progresses. But overall, we have a sharp decline in our exports due to the ongoing challenges. Well, what's interesting is that China was always the #1 market for the Sudan sesame. We've been seeing a major change and reshuffle of the markets that the Sudanese sesame has been going to, with Egypt taking a position as #1 and China dropping to #2, and newer markets in the Middle East taking position. And in light of the aforementioned facts, we believe that the local prices are likely to go up. Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Mahesh from Pakistan. He will give us an insight on the new origin. So we look forward to hearing what's happening in Pakistan.
Good morning, everyone. I believe everyone wants to know the total crop size of Pakistan, and everyone is waiting to see what are the numbers and what would be the effects of floods and rains and what will be the total production and the quality. So we'll start now. Pakistan have been a record-breaking leader. They have been, back in 2012, we used to have around 5,000 to 6,000 metric tons of production. But last year, it was historic high crop, and we have been seen a lot of high numbers. Pakistan have been market-driven shift and encouraged by record high because of the prices. Mostly farmers were encouraged for the sesame cultivation, and the indications were around 1.7 million acres were harvested last year in 2024. Most of the varieties back, if you see a couple of years back, we used to have 3 varieties, which includes hybrid, farmi, and Sindh variety. But due to high yields, most of the farmers switched to hybrid variety, which is now being planted already in Punjab and even in Sindh. Last year, the targets were very high. All the farmers, exporters, and traders were very much ambitious. They were expecting huge number of the crop, which was around 544,000 metric tons. But again, the unexpected outcome, the season did not unfold like it was planned due to combination of factors, including weather challenges and other market influences. The actual yield and output was a lot lower than expected. We'll see 2024 Sesame market review, production, trade, and the ending stock. Last year, the stock produced was roughly around 340,000. It could be plus minus 5%. And the exports, total exports were around 261,000, out of which there was a border trade of 28,000 tons, which goes to Iran, and also it goes to Black Sea countries via Afghanistan as well. And then we have also around 5% local consumption. We have hulling factories, and we do have local consumptions we use in sweets and other different bakery items, which is around 20,000. We do had a carry forward stock, which is around 30,000 tons, and the key export destinations last year were China. China was one of the major buyers last year from Pakistan, and they were supplied to Korea through tenders as well. We see a significant demand from Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia, Oman, and then Taiwan and Vietnam was also one of the buyer. Pakistan exported good volumes of hulled sesame seed to European markets as well as to USA and Canadian markets, which was around 13,000 metric tons. And the average price last year for natural hybrid sesame seed was around 1,300. It started from 1,700, and then it ended up like 1,180, 1,200 US dollar for main ports to China or Far East Asian countries. As you can see in this slide, I'm not sure if you guys can see the name of the countries. China, most of the cargo was imported to China, which was around 200,000 metric tons, and after that, there was some exports to Korea, then Saudi Arabia, Oman, Vietnam, and so coming to 2025 sesame seed crop, regions, acreage, weather conditions, and quality risk. We do have many challenges this year. This year we had very high hopes because the weather was very much in favor of the cultivation of the sesame seeds. In Punjab, this year we believe around 75% of the crop will be harvested and 25% would be in Sindh. Mostly in Punjab, the crop is planted in end April or early May and started harvesting by end July or by September, in end August, and then by September fully crop is harvested. That is the time when we see post-harvest rains. And in Sindh, the crop is planted in early July or end July, and it is harvested in October. And we see a cycle of 90 to 120 days. And we have seen year-on-year average decline due to disappointing financial returns in the previous season, a lot of quality challenges, and most of the farmers last year switched from different commodities into sesame seed considering the prices which were back in 2022 and 2023. However, there's a sufficient decline this year. According to my research, around 35% crop is declined, the sowing is declined from 1.7 million ton, around 35%. And the projected planted area would be around 1 million acres. We do see a favorable weather conditions, as I mentioned earlier, until mid-August only, but which buyers had a lot of potential high yields as well, but there are emerging risks. Initial rainfall spells caused some of the damages in non-traditional growing areas of sesame seed, or it could be due to mishandling, and farmers were not able to replant again because of the continuous rainfalls. Favorable season with new risk, consistent temperatures. The temperatures this year for sesame seed has been very consistent, and which was around 34 to 36 centigrade. And like I said earlier, until mid-August, everything was fine, and optimal growing conditions have resulted in high yields, which is already expected this year, and excellent quality has already been arrived in market. Obviously, total crop is not yet harvested, but recent flood news, the recent floods in Pakistan may affect and damage the crop. Somehow it is damaged around 10% of the crop in Punjab, and we do not have the clear numbers. By a week or two, we'll have clear numbers, the total destruction or total effect it has created on the sesame seed in Punjab. And the water levels in Sindh, the flood which is coming from upper Punjab to southern Punjab, and from southern Punjab it enters to Sindh. And if you see the water above 500 cubic level, then it may enter to the farms and the neighboring villages, which may damage the crop in Sindh. In Sindh, like I said, we will be having around 25% of the total crop. So if there are damages, or if there will be damages in Sindh, it could be around 50%. So we could have around 12.5% less crop in the total national crop. And significant threat this year, we do have another rain spell from 9 to 11 September, and we see the floods, as well as we do not know how much destruction it may give to the crop. But by today or tomorrow, the floods from Punjab are expected to enter Sindh, which will be ending up in Arabian Sea. But we'll see what effect it gives. This year, the crop health is reportedly very good. We do not have any pest attacks. We do not have any kind of disease, unlike last year. So we see a really good quality of sesame seed this year. The production for forecast is around 320,000 metric tons, from 300 to 320,000 metric tons, on average yield of 320 kg per acre. As I said earlier, around 1 million acres are planted. This year we see a really good quality so far up till now. Low FFA, no aflatoxin problems, the moisture is high, and we see high oil content as well. Regarding the costing, farmers, cultivation remains highly attractive, because with a favorable cost to return ratio, the full impact of the both crop, volume and quality will be clearer within next 2 weeks, as I mentioned earlier, depending on the weather conditions and the floods. We do have some key trade challenges and some policies and processing. The Pakistan rupee has been stable since last year or last 2 years. We see no problem in the currency appreciation. We see, which is quite a favorable environment for suppliers to export and to make contracts. Efficient logistic, we do not have any kind of logistic issues. Like China is one of our main buyer. We can get plenty of empty containers in direct vessel. We do have a transit time from Pakistan to China around 18 to 21 days. And government support and promotion, the government is actively working with all of the farmers and exporters. Mostly with the farmers, they have been providing awareness to the farmers to cultivate, encourage to grow more sesame seed through different programs. And Sesame Exporters Association of Pakistan has been working with Trade Development Authority of Pakistan and Ministry of Commerce to encourage farmers and to look different markets to export sesame seed from Pakistan. We do have some monsoon challenges, like this is the quite challenging effect when we have pre-monsoon or we have post-harvest monsoon, which is not favorable for Pakistan. Sometimes it creates a trouble, like still so far we are unclear what will be the exact position. Improvements, investment price expectations. Last year there have been FFA issues, so this year we believe the quality will be much better. We won't be seeing any FFA, pesticides or aflatoxin issues. Current industry improvement, due to mishandling last year, the investors have been doing investments in the storage infrastructures, and strong domestic demand from the stockists is driving the market in Pakistan at the moment. Currently, we have buyers from different origin, from different destinations, they have been asking for lesser price, but unfortunately, the exporters from Pakistan, they cannot offer less price because we have good demand from Pakistan. Pakistani exporters and the stockists believe that in sesame seed they get around 20 kg of the oil if they compare with the rapeseed. So they believe if the prices of sesame seed are lower, it will attract the stockists and the local oil crushers to the sesame seed, which is why they have been buying sesame seed, and we are unable to offer to Pakistan at lower prices. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mahesh. Thanks. So now we move to the big giant of Africa, Nigeria. And we have Godhan from Valency to help us with that, with understanding of the Nigerian crop. So please go ahead.
Hello and good morning to all. So I'm going to take you through Nigerian sesame market and update about the upcoming crop, which is going to start very soon. So first, before begin, I would like to go with the disclaimer that all the reports which we are going to present is basis the organized, unorganized sector, our reading through it. So we do not take any responsibility if you make your decisions basis the report which I'm going to present. So we'll go with the market outlook of Nigeria, macroeconomics. So population of Nigeria is about 232 million as per the World Bank record. Dependency of the population, 70% about is on the agriculture sector. So it's highly dependent on agriculture, Nigeria population. And GDP growth rate is recorded as per CBN report recently, about 3.46. The total crop estimate which is coming is more or less same as last year. We have seen last year about 360,000 total production, out of which 20,000 is consumed locally, roughly, and rest all is being exported to the markets. And we expect the similar crop this year. The weather and the total production is expected to be fair so far. So agroclimatic outlook of Nigeria seems to be okay, or it is the Nigerian rainfall expected to be normal or below normal compared to the long-term average if you look at it. Rainfall in major sesame producing states is also expected to be slightly lower than normal. So which is okay for the sesame production. We expect a good crop this year. Onset of growing period is expected to be normal or slightly delayed this year because the rains are slightly expected to be slight delay. So if you go look at the agronomy of Nigeria, the crop typically start after September. The main season harvesting starts from October onwards. And the major growing area, if you look at the chart, is started from Jigawa, Nasarawa, Katsina, Yobe, Taraba, Benue. And Katsina is expected to grow the biggest crop in Nigeria. So if you look at the sesame total trade, maximum cargo is to be shipped out from November to January. That is the peak shipment period from Nigeria. The crops start to come in the market since October onwards. So major export destination, obviously China is on the top. So China takes about 50% of the total crop export, followed by Japan and Turkey and other destinations. Especially for hull sesame, it's Europe being the biggest market. So I will go through some challenges of Nigeria sesame seed in the market. So policy and incentives, Nigeria government was allowing the EEG to the exporters is being now delayed a lot. 3 year plus time it is taking to repatriate the EEG. Competitive supply, Southern Hemisphere is giving a lot of pressure, especially from Brazil, which is slowing down the demand, and the prices are under pressure because of the excessive supply from Brazil, Pakistan, new regions. So cost of capital is also very high in Nigeria. The interest rates are flowing around more than 30% per annum, and it's heavily reliance on the diesel and non-generators. So basically people have to use the fuel for running their factories. Logistics is the ongoing challenge for Nigeria. So it's limited logistic efficiencies are there. And foreign exchange is bit quite stable for last 1 year. So Nigeria government is actually managing it well for past 1 year. Market outlook, if you look at the demand, it is a bit slow at the moment. From China remains of the top buyer, but China heavy stocks or high stocks at the moment is putting a lot of pressure on the supply side. And suppliers are trying to sell their crop into the market with lowering the cost or reducing the price. Processing and value addition, Nigeria is emerging as one of the supplier. There are a lot of new factories are going which are producing hulled sesame seed, sorted sesame seed in Nigeria, and they are exporting to the major markets. In the bullish trend, I don't see any bullish trend at the moment. Market is a bit slow. It depends on how Brazil and Pakistan will keep their price in the market. So Nigeria will bit follow that market in a way, in a short term. Bearish trend, we all know that China is keeping stock ever high, and there's a lot of supply which is coming from Brazil, Pakistan is going to put a pressure on the prices. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Godhan. That was efficient. And now we'll have Pietro from Brazil, the country which has really shaken up the boat.
Now, to kick it off, do it very quickly. 6 years ago, we were at the World Sesame Convention, not myself or my colleagues, and they were just outside of the patio, little samples of sesame from Brazil, hanging out to people and showing them, look, we have sesame. And people were, where are you from? Well, we're from Brazil. We don't have sesame. Oh, well, we do. We do now, a little bit. But how do you keep it? Oh, we keep it in silos. How do you harvest? We harvest with machines. And where are you from again? They're like, oh, none of this is never going to happen. Now, 6 years fast forward, we're now talking here and showing you what has happened in the last few years, 6 years, what we did, and where we are. And 600 seconds for that. Now, to show you what happened the last 6 years, I have to also show you who we are as a company, because it's a big part of it. Now, your company is called Arbaza. We did not come from anywhere. We are being here for 40 years. It started in pulses. We are a pulses company group, the largest exporter, largest in domestic market. We're huge bean eaters. We eat a lot of beans. And we also started with sesame in the same show 6 years ago. We didn't come from anything, so Qalander is a domestic brand that built us into exports. Package 1 kg, if you know this guy, Neymar, he wears our jersey. He's a strong company we have indoors. 360,000 tons in domestics. That pushes to exports, and that being pulled by sesame. Logistics in Brazil is a big problem. It's a big challenge for everyone, and that pulls us as a company to invest on it. And it's not exclusive from us, but we do have to put a lot of money on it. Port terminals, we have our own trucks, more than 100, infrastructure in warehouses, and yes, we keep using silos. Brazil is a big country, continental size. This I'm only showing to you because we have 25 units in one country. Like we've seen some of our colleagues, they have 6, 7, 8, 10 units, one per country. That's the main difference. Now, from one of our units in the north to one of the units in the south, if you ride a plane, it's 4 hours. Now, if you're paying attention to the map, if you see the red dots, that's where sesame is. Now, paying close attention, that becomes this area, which is the heart of Brazil, and where sesame is being cultivated for the last 6 years. Now, I could come and tell you specifically by region, the production, the yields, but we're too new. We don't have those data yet. 2017, Nigeria was doing 180,000 tons. 2019, they're doing 200,000 tons. We're doing nothing then. Also important to mention, our harvest. June to August, and I do have a star here because some years we start harvesting in June. Some years we start harvesting in May. Once we start harvesting, every week is going to move north. Now, within this circle, you have 3,000 kilometers in distance, maybe 2,000 in here. It's a big change. The second is crop competition in our sesame. Our farmers are extremely spoiled. Now, a lot of our farmers, when you come to them and say, hey, do you want to do sesame for me next year? The farmer is going to say first, what is sesame? We don't eat sesame in Brazil. Domestic market is 10,000 tons, 15 at tops. There's no domestic for it. So we have to teach ourselves farmers what sesame is. My own example, my grandmother still does not know what I do. She still thinks I'm selling to McDonald's or something because that's the only sesame we see in most of our lives. So when our farmers come and they have to decide what to do, they are thinking between corn, popcorn, pulses, sorghum, low technology corn, just covering the land, cotton, and now the DGS that goes to China, ethanol factories that may be in the area. There's too many options. So unless we cover those other competitions, he probably will not do sesame. Third, we have started doing black sesame in the past. Right now it's extremely low. If you find it, and if you like it, buy it. But most of our sesame is K3, which is the white Brazilian sesame. A lot of you have seen, tried it, and liked it, or did not like it. And sweet sesame, which this year, which again, the crop finished in August, we're estimating that sweet sesame is going to be around 100,000 tons up to, give or take. And lastly, as you've seen, yes, we are mechanical harvest, and we still are mechanical harvest, and we will continue to be that. Now, from Brazil to the world, what has happened in the last 6 years? Now, remember how you saw just now how Nigeria and Sudan, all of these traditional countries had a lot of quantity. We did not. We're still learning. It does not mean that the graphic is going to continue to increase, but this is what we did. Now, we started with 3,000 tons 6 years ago, went to 20, then it went to 85. You went down because the market was not very competitive. For us to grow, not necessarily the buying market, but if the corn, again, competition is high, sesame is low. And it kept evolving to, it went 40%, 10%, and it tripled last year, 330,000. Crop year, these numbers are not from January to December. These numbers are, and I am in front of you, but from May to April next year. So whenever you see different numbers, it's probably because they're not being measured by April to May. And the big number, this past year so far, China has entered the room, and we have so far from May to August exported 130,000 tons. This has never happened before. It's too soon. The pull from the market this year was beyond what we imagined. This should give you a comparison of what, in blue is what we as a company did. So we've been maintaining between 35 to 38, 35 to 40% in the last few years. And that's why I show you how this infrastructure that we showed you before, that's opposite. Now, speaking of who has been buying your sesame, this is last year. 333,000 tons. These are the main buyers. This is without China. Now, up to the last year, the main players also change every year. We had a year that was Guatemala was the main buyer. Another year was Mexico. Turkey has been the main buyer. Last year was India. And they were very strong at it. Next year, now, see how that changed? This is the first year that we can sell to China. China has, again, we don't need to tell you anything about China. Everyone knows. Brazil is a country that we don't know, and that includes China. We don't know how they will like our sesame. We do not know how they will use it yet. We're still learning, but so far we're very happy with it. And so we're here, so are they. Now, China pulled 58,000 tons in the last 3 months. There is some old crop in this that was overlapped from one year to the other, but we estimate, given what has happened, that by November, our crop could be finished. What are the advantages of working in Brazil? This, the new kid on the block. Now, for us exporters, and again, don't put me on the spot if something bad happens. I'm not talking about all the exporters. I cannot do that. I can speak for myself and all the serious people that you may know. Contracts are king. We value our contract. We respect our contract with the farmers. We respect our contracts with the buyers. And we are very serious about them. The supply is stable. We have a strict quality control. In our case, ourselves, 100% of our silos, and we did ship close to 120,000 tons last year, 100% of the silos have air conditioning. So we keep the temperature that controls moisture and controls FFA from increasing. And lastly, the infrastructure. Not necessarily from the country, but from each exporter that invested in infrastructure to keep it. Not everything are wonders. What are the disadvantages? We are far. So lead times in the vessels are a little far. You will average anything from 40 to 60 to 70 to 80 days. Transshipments, those things could happen. Every year, Brazil has new players entering the market. Every year, Brazil has new players leaving the market. So it's on importers to do the due diligence they have and the lack of infrastructure. Now, the big question. I cannot tell you what next year is going to be, but I can tell you what we've seen from this year. 25, 26, crop just started. We're estimating so far, these are government numbers for exporters, and you can talk to the other Brazilians in the room. Crop size, 350,000 tons. We estimate that China already purchased, not shipped, 120. India, estimation, 40,000 tons already bought. Turkey, 30,000 tons already bought. All these numbers are give or take. Now, with the three main buyers, we're leaving you with 20,000 tons to other markets. But remember, I mentioned that sweet sesame is another 100,000 tons. There is in a different bucket. So give or take, we probably have around 40,000 tons, give or take, more or less, left. But we just finished harvest. So this is what fundaments what we believe will be crop finished by November. Thank you very much. Happy to answer questions later.
Thanks, Pietro, for the jaw-dropping numbers and the kind of progress Brazil has made. So now we'll go to Mustakim to take us through Mozambique.
So 2025 for the Mozambique season, the the crop size was expected like last year, but fortunately this year crop size was more than expected, like 20%. So crop was around 150,000. So Mozambique have mainly two production zone, north zone and the central zone. So north zone have a bush area like Balama, Montupej, Shuri, Namapa. This is the main production bush area of the north zone. And on the central zone, we can say Kaya, Buzi, Gurungoza. These are the main production areas. So Mozambique sesame seed was, as I told in the starting of the presentation, the crop was expected, but the crop size was more than 20%, which we see currently last 3 years. The crop quality was good. The farmer was day by day improving the quality of the sesame in Mozambique. In the beginning of the season, the color of the seed was not like a whitish, but once the farm arrival started, the color is getting better and better. These days, at the month of August, almost all the shipments are done, mostly like 35,000 ton around from the port of Nacala, and similar quantity also from the port of Beira. And only like 30 to 40,000 ton crop still remaining with the farmers, with the exporters. So most crop from the bush to ground is in the hand of exporters. So this is the quick highlight for the prices of the Mozambique. So when the season started, the initial trade or advanced trade was started near around the $1,450 levels. But when the actual crop arrival started, the price was very decreased. You can say almost a $90 to $100 decrease there was in the month of May. Then in the month of June and July, the price was floating in between 1320 to 1350 levels. And when the crop was about to finish in the month of August, mostly the Mozambique have like a 3 months crop in June, July, August. So end of the season, the price was on the bottom because there was a demand from China, from Turkey, but the demand was not firm, so it was like up and down. So just because of that, in the month of August, it was like around 1250. So this is the crop history of the Mozambique. Last 3 years, it gradually increasing, And for the next upcoming year, we are still expecting the crops would be near around 140,000 tons. So we all worried about the prices of the sesame seed. Mostly when the Mozambique season was there, mostly price was continuously falling. Like if you compare from the beginning of the session to the end of the session, in the 3-month time span, almost the market was $250 down. Because of there was advance offering from the Brazil and Pakistan, Mozambique sesame only can be replaced with some highly oil rich sesame like Burkina Faso, Nigeria white escargot. So in the demand side, especially from the China, they were just giving the only main one reason, like the price is decreasing because we have a cheap offer from the Brazil and Pakistan. But both the sesame have their own parameters and own technical use. Like Brazil and Pakistan mainly go for the hulling or maybe the end user in a bakery, and Mozambique and other African origins are like a crushing quality. But even if it was a factor to affect the market price. So nowadays, almost we can say all are crying for the margins in the sesame industry, but we can say both the like all the system, like crushing quality, the hulling quality, both is different. Just because of the pressure from other origins, the Mozambique system was under the pressure. Entire system industry, like especially in the China, they were continuously falling because of the high stock in China. And now we can say, like for the next upcoming crops from Brazil and Pakistan, there is any other African origin available at the moment in China. Mostly the stock is high, stock is there, but the crushing quality is only on the way from Mozambique and Tanzania. So market should be firm from here, we can say that. So this was very short and sweet idea about Mozambique sesame seed from our side. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mustakim. That was really efficient and fast. So now Mr. Lema for the Ethiopian presentation.
Thank you all. It's our pleasure to share the Ethiopian outlook in front of you. So I'm from the Ethiopian Oilseeds Exporters Association, the general manager of that. So as you might know, Ethiopia is the origin of especially sesame products, known for their sweetie variety, special variety, the Humara and the Walaga sesame seeds. So to share you a brief about Ethiopia, maybe as potentially Ethiopia is still producing less than 50% of its potential of sesame production capacity till now. As very big country, not only producing sesame, also it's also the hub of groundnut, but not cultivated yet. We are working on it. So regarding our products, especially the Walaga and the Humara varieties, its uniqueness is mostly known by major actors in the world for its sweetness, and its aroma is specific now. Different characteristics like the FFA and moisture content are also appreciated for Ethiopian Humara varieties. Production volume was a bit reduced the last 4 years, but starting from the last 3 years, it's getting to be increasing as production and as also exporting volume. You can see from the chart that from 9 to 220 onwards, the volume of production is still getting increased. As you might know, there might be a kind of unrest in the country the last 4 years, but improving trend shows that the production and as well as the export volume is being increased now. So these are simply the types of variety. From the graph, you might easily see that still the volume and the production as well as the export volume is being increased the last 3 years. Hopefully, being in Turkey, for sake of appreciation, you can also appreciate the increasing curve of supply to Turkey. Turkey is the third recipient country or destination country for Ethiopian sesame now. These are almost the top 10 Ethiopian sesame destination countries, the China being first, Israel being second, Turkey, and the others accordingly are listed like this. So to see certain performance analysis from the last years, it was 126, then 100, 61, it goes to 183. It's only explaining about the curves that I just mentioned the last time. So the annual growth trend, especially for Turkey, for sake of bringing insight for you, is 19% increase annually. So the other aspects that you might appreciate regarding Ethiopian sesame is the carry forward. Ethiopia, being among the leading exporters of world sesame, it was exported raw most of the years previously, but currently a bit start of manufacturing, oil processing, and tiny processing is being started in Ethiopia. So in this regard, I might also invite all the actors of the world, if you might get into our country for sake of not only export, but also for processing. The policy is being opened, the working environment is improved, so that we are tending to processing. So the next maybe 5 years, you might see us within a different profile of being exporters of tiny products again. So something that we need to emphasize about Ethiopia is you might know its quality being the FFA to be maximum to be 1% and purity 99%, administer 1%. This is what makes Ethiopian sesame to be different among other worlds. The production estimate in 2025, a bit increment of land coverage is seen this year, so that our production is estimated to be 240,000 to a maximum of 280,000 the coming years, because the production is directly linked to the weather condition and the land coverage currently. The land is already covered. As most of you might know, Ethiopian cultivation season is the coming November, starting from coming November, so that by that time, the production volume is expected to increase that year. The challenges related to Ethiopian sesame production maybe currency flotation, as you might be informed, was a bit challenging. The logistics issue, as landlocked country, is common. Continuously happening challenge. Processing capacity is still limited. Market dynamics are still volatile throughout the world is almost the same challenge for us. But something that's appreciated and maybe expected to improve the Ethiopian sesame scenario is our policy. Inside policy is highly revised for the entrance of any body from foreign countries. By now can invest there, can involve them as exporter as well as manufacturer, because the policy is open. And again, the country is getting liberalizing all the schemes of its economic system, so that anybody in the world might be liable to involve in our sector, especially on sesame sector. Finally, I would like to invite all of you. The coming November will be our 40th International Conference for Pulses on Oilseeds, the coming November 18 and 19. Hopefully, I might see all of you there. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks, Mr. Lema. And that brings us to the last presentation for the session.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for organizer to giving me such opportunity. My name is Dhaval, and I'm going to present on Burkina Faso and Togo and Mali Sesame outlook. Before moving to the presentation, there is a short disclaimer that the presenter or ETG cannot be liable for any losses or trading views. This is the snapshot of the sesame production and export dynamic in Burkina Faso and Togo. Burkina Faso is the primary producer in the all Burkina cluster. We can say Burkina cluster is Burkina, Mali and Togo all together. Export data often reflect the shipment from originating from Togo, because it's a cross-border trade channel, facilitate the movement of the sesame into the Togo for the exports. Togo domestic production is around only 25,000 ton, but reportedly export volumes from Togo is consistently surpass its actual production level, because sesame market is originated from the Mali or Togo, or largely cultivated in Burkina Faso only. These are just the summary of the crop 2024. Production and consumption is approximately 420,000 hectare cultivated last year, Productivity, we can say 500 kg per hectare. So total production volume was around 210,000. Local consumption was around 10,000. So limited use for the locally due to the high price and cheaper food preferred. Prices and in the CNF China level, it was a mixed grade realization between 1,410 to 1,490. And for the whitish grade, 1,560 to between 1,590 level. Major buyer for the Burkina Faso is mainly the China, Japan, and the Turkey. These are the sesame growing region in the Burkina Faso. You can see the blue highlighted one are the white area, and the mixed highlight, red highlighted one is the mixed area. Mainly the eastern part of the Burkina grows the white sesame seeds, and western part of the Burkina Faso is having a mixed sesame seeds. This is the Burkina Faso and Togo sesame production. Approximately is if you 2021 to 2024 to 25. If you look at the average for the Burkina cluster, average production for the Burkina is 180,000 ton. Although last year number was 210,000 ton approx. This is the import quantity in China for the Burkina Faso and Togo. Majority it's showing as a Togo due to the duty-free treatment in the Togo, but now it's also Burkina also has a duty-free treatment quantity. So until July 2025, it's becomes 157,000 approx from Burkina. From Burkina Faso till in the China. These are the key challenges in sesame trade from Burkina Faso. Geographical limitation because of Burkina is a landlocked country. Export is routed through the Lomé port. It's a border clearance also delays the uncertainty and the shipment and timeline, and delivery also risk is a trade commitment. Political concern is the previously the sudden export ban we have seen in raw cashew nuts is a raised exporter fear. And the buyer also remain cautious about the similar risk for the sesame as well, because the current policy, government is impose almost 10% duty on the sesame export out of the Burkina, but it's still under discussion. We will come to know by in the new season, maybe in October and November. Currency volatility is also a big challenge in Burkina. Frequent region currency fluctuation also add the complexity to the pricing and trade settlement as well. These are the views from my side. Thank you.
Thanks, Dhaval. That was the most crisp presentation. Please post your questions on Slido. So the first one is, what is the cost of production of Brazil?
What is the cost of production in Brazil? Where in Brazil? Now, I'll answer this with more questions. What time was the contract done? Where in Brazil was the contract done? What was the price of corn when this contract was done? What was the dollar when this contract was done? Also, what are the variables in the contract? Do we go pick up the goods ourselves with our trucks, or does the farmer bring us to us? Do we collect the goods cleaned, or do we clean it ourselves? Is the contract for full production or partial production? I wish there was an answer for this, but there's two more questions than answers.
That's a very clear answer, as clear as it gets. But just to probably further elaborate on this, what we have seen in other countries also, that there was a time when Tanzania went above 200,000 tons. There's a time when Nigeria went above 450,000 tons, and then it settled down to 300. Tanzania has now settled down to 150. So are we seeing a peak of Brazil, or it is just the beginning of Brazil? And in terms of competitiveness, Sesame really stands competitor despite whatever could be the variables.
As if we're seeing the peak of it, possibly. Possibly. Because I'll remind you on the graph, 2022 to 23, we went down 30% in production. And it wasn't because the market wasn't pulling our sales, it was just because there were other variables that did not make it attractive for the farmer. Also, you mentioned about cost of production. Well, the reflection in sales price. 5 years ago, we were selling at 1,400, 500. 2 years ago, I remember selling to India at 1,750. And it wasn't because we were making so much money. No, it was a different market, like you mentioned. We aren't the only ones affected by variables in the market. Also, very much like Nigeria, our interest rate is also very high. A lucky person is paying 14% with all the variables happening. So it's hard to mention, especially with election year coming next year. So is it the peak? It might be. If prices continue to pull lower as the trend as they are, there will always be the next crop for the farmer.
All right, yeah, that gives some direction. So while waiting for more questions, one more question that I had was for Pakistan. So Mahesh bhai, you mentioned that the yield has been good, quality has been good, pest attacks have not been good. So all these three things should have actually helped in Pakistan's crop going up. But recently there's a news about flood coming in. So we are very confused about what is the crop. So if you could give us a broad range. We understand that everyone will have a difficulty in giving a right, but a broad range of what could be minimum or maximum.
To be honest, we ourselves are very much confused still so far. We do not have clear picture like I mentioned earlier. But the numbers we're expecting should be around 320,000 tons. And according to my research, I may be wrong, and I believe around maximum 30% crop would be damaged from the rain and the floods, including Sindh and Punjab, which would be around, let's say, 100,000 tons. So in the end, we'll be having around 200 metric thousand tons, which will include exports, border trade, local consumption. So still, we need a week more to have exact numbers, but this is my idea. We'll have maximum 30% damaged crop if the floods and water enters into the Sindh.
Is there a chance of, there's a question about, is there a chance of government putting a minimum export price?
There have been some talks. We have been in contact with the governments. They are very much interested to fix a minimum price, but that is not yet finalized. We are not sure if it will be done in this year or maybe next season, but nothing so far.
So next, moving on to processors, so probably I'll take Jay Bhai's help on that. The question is that at around $1,000 for major origins of hand-harvested cargoes, would it get the processors excited? Would they hold the cargo for a longer period? Would they be buying for probably increasing their capacity, increasing their inventories?
Yeah, so the price point of $1,000 which is given is very attractive for the processor. But I think we are living in the nightmares of last year. So all the processors are very, very hesitant to go very long. Yes, whenever there is a 3-digit contract, all processors are very happy to buy. And we have seen increased trade activity happening below the 1,000 levels. So I don't believe everybody would take huge positions, but yes, processors would like to take small positions at this price level.
So this makes it a very attractive level. While you were talking about the minimum prices, so Burkina, we are also seeing some issues. So Dhaval, would you be able to help us with any ideas on that? The duty that is being proposed?
Yes, I think letter has been passed from the Burkina government on 18th of June. There can be 10% export duty will be applicable from Burkina, but it is not a firm decision finalized. There will be another meeting maybe happening before the seasoning began. So maybe there is another meeting with the government and supplier, because all the suppliers are also opposing that duty factor, because it will be affecting a lot to their profit and also the buying model. So there will be another meeting can be happen in the October. So it's a open discussion still.
So while we're going through Slido, in case there are questions from the floor, please feel free to raise your hands. Sometimes it's easier to ask the question. Okay. So if there is any question, we are happy to take questions from the floor as well. Now there's a question on how do you preserve the quality of cargo in the origins of high humidity. So Godhan, would you want to take a chance at that?
Yes. To preserve with humidity, we have to go invest for heavy infrastructure. Typically in Nigeria, the sesame production is mainly towards the north and central zone, which is not that humid. And although it has to come down to the south area, which is more humid. With the infrastructure only, you can save it.
So you mean to say people without infrastructure will struggle with the quality?
Yeah, without a proper infrastructure, actually.
Going back to India's presentation, Jay Bhai, you mentioned, and that was actually, everyone saw that India did a wonderful job when the ETO issue was there in India, and it has recovered completely well. But when you're choosing the seeds, does that seed, the input seed, also make a difference to the quality? Or you can use any seed, like a seed from A country is equivalent to a seed from B, C country. All the seeds are equal, and there's a process which makes you meet the quality standards.
We always say, this is not a toothpaste. You cannot put anything and get something else. You have to put the right kind of seed to get the right kind of product. It's an agriculture product. So I would say 80% of the credit goes to where you're procuring from. Of course, the processing, is important, but 80% of the credit has to go from where the seed is originating. So it is very important for us to choose the right seed for the right market. So whatever is going to the US, whatever is going to the EU, whatever is going to the Gulf, whatever is going to Far East, depending on the country of destination, the seed has to be chosen, and of course the processing has to be done in a certain manner to adhere to the standards which are laid out by the importing country.
Thanks. Just to remind you that we also have our panelists from Chad. So Mr. Osama and Mr. Yasser are also available just in case there is a question for Chad. So then there are questions around any numbers on Tanzania crop this year and expectations for the next year in wake of these prices. So maybe Mustakim, you can take Tanzania and Mozambique together.
So this year the crop idea was in between 225 to 250,000 ton. But as I say, the Mozambique crop is also expected to be more for the next year. The same way Tanzania is gradually also growing together with the Mozambique. So we are expecting near around 275 to 300,000 metric ton from Tanzania. And probably the Mozambique will be 150 to 175 for the next year. This is the expectation from our own perspective. Because if you compare the Mozambique and Tanzania, previously the peanut crop size was bigger compared to the sesame side. But too much production of the peanut in the India. So for Mozambique and Tanzania, the peanut final buyer is the Indonesia market. So just because of the decreasing price of the peanut market, the Tanzania and Mozambique farmers are more eager to involve in the more production of the sesame seed, because the sesame price is always compared to the peanut price is always attractive for the farmers. So the next year we are expecting the very good crop cultivation from Mozambique and Tanzania.
Now, Ms. Mahgoub, you did explain about Sudan. You explained the recovery path Sudan is on after the unfortunate situation. Do you think this will have impact on quality also? Because the supply chains might be broken, it might take longer, the warehousing might be not available. So any thoughts you have around that once it reaches, will Gedare fetch similar kind of premiums? Or will it be, again, you'll have to climb the ladder again?
Actually, I believe this sudden shake will get the farmers to be more aware of the importance of quality control and improving their yields, because as we can see, the production, even during war, is still quite high compared to the rest of the African countries, including Brazil, who's a new player. So we've dropped from 600 to 300. This is a significant drop for Sudan, but it's still on the high side. So what we should be looking at or expecting is improvement in quality and maybe tackling the yield issue, which is a big part of why we are on the high side in terms of costs and finding it a bit difficult to export. So I think it might be for a good reason that people will review, the farmers, the whole chain will actually start improving across the different sectors, logistics, farming, warehousing, and so forth.
Thanks. And Mr. Lema, you've been through a similar situation a few years ago, and it's coming back. So what has been your experience? What is the feedback from the customers who are coming back? Any experiences you would like to share with us?
Okay, thank you. Of course, the previous times were challenges for our producers, especially as the war had been held as a location of the major locations of sesame production areas. That was really a challenge, but starting from the last 3 years, everything has come to be settled, especially in the farmers' area. As you might know, the farmers are well familiar and have got good experience of producing sesame, so that everything is improving drastically. Rather, what we are working on currently is to qualify, to increase the quality of those products, especially apart from expansion and increment of productivity. We are still tending to work, especially in improving the qualities, other than increasing the volume. So the production volume estimation and everything is tending to be improving in the coming years.
Now we have a question for Chad. So what are the factors driving the significant increase in Chad production? We have seen Chad was a marginal producer, was exporting through Nigeria, and now it has become a significant producer. So Mr. Yasser, Mr. Osama, looking forward to your views.
In fact, we expect significant growth in Chadian sesame, and we expect by this year to reach to 255,000 metric tons in both areas, in Mundo areas in the south, and the huge expanding on the northern and eastern part of Chad. Chad has two varieties, which is small sesame seed and large seeds. We are expecting really Chad is going to have a growth of 10 to 15% every year through year, because we do believe that the quality is high quality with an oil content of 49%. So we believe that Chad will be one of the important players in sesame business in nearest future, inshallah.
Sorry, if everyone remembers earlier the slide of production, I had stated 2024, 2025, we had around 429,000 tons, but what was actually recorded was around 370,000. This difference from the war up to date has actually been moving through Chad. So in our justification, the volume in Chad has actually been increasing directly through Sudan's production, seeping through from Darfur and Kordofan states all the way out. So I don't think it's actually production of Chad, but this is Sudanese sesame that's being channeled backwards, obviously for obvious reasons, logistics challenges, and because we share border with Chad. So it was faster to go that way rather through the official port of Sudan.
No, I don't think so. I think only the Darfur, the Four Baranga region, who is supplying Chad with red sesame and mixed sesame. This is the only sesame used to come from Sudan. But the sesame of Kordofan and other areas is still difficult to reach to Chad. And even Darfur one, only the neighboring places like Four Baranga, which is only producing mixed sesame and red sesame. Other sesame, white sesame, like other areas, Gadaref, Kordofan, it's really difficult to reach to Chad. I have been in Chad for the past 3 years, and noticing this, mostly the most export of Chad is coming from the southern region, from Mundo, and Chad start expanding a lot of varieties also in the eastern and northern areas, and they're expanding really too much. They're planting more acres in these areas. Zaghawa area and Salamat area now is the new areas, and I think over 12 new areas are now sharing and participating in the sesame business.
Okay, thanks, Yasser. So I'll come to the last question, which is, to all the panelists, what is the range you expect the market to be? And for probably a similar reference, maybe you could keep a mixed seeds not the whitish one, what could be the range? Let's start with Dhaval.
So for the next 3 months you are talking about, right? But initially I can say current price level, people are talking for the maize grade and crushing oil grade around 1000 level. That 1000 level is for the processor side is very good price, but if you think about the farmer side and the trader side, it's not a competitive price for them for the sustainable business model. So for the Sesame sustainable business level, with all can earn between the 1000 to 1200 level. Above 1200 level is also challenging, and below 1000 level also a big challenge for the farmer side and trader side.
Well, as we all know, even with the 100 year of experience, it's not possible to judge a market for 100% confidently. But for the next three months, we can say so the China is the largest buyer. So depend some factors like stock in China and what crushing quality available, and what Brazil and Pakistan sesame crop situation. Like the too much flood in Pakistan, we are listening the crop size will be decreased maybe 10 to 15%. And again, also depend on the Brazil situation. I think everything is normal there in Brazil. So currently the crushing quality right now offering in the market from Nigeria is around $1,000. And the stock in China is around 350 to 375. So we can expect for the next 3 months, it should be float in between for the crushing, $1,000 to maximum it will go to 160 or 180. That's my opinion. Like it should be float in between this one. And for the other parameters also play their own roles. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I think just let's limit to price range rather than explanations, because then we are getting into repetitions.
Right. According to me, for Pakistan origin, good quality sesame, white sesame seed, I believe it is 1100 should be the minimum range and 1200 should be the maximum range. It would be a safe price to play around, and there will be less chance or less risk of the losing money.
I think for Sudan, the price will be 1,300 minimum and 1,400 maximum. It cannot go lower than that at the moment.
Whatever origin prices are, I think I would not like to give a range, but say $50 less than that or $100 more. Lower side we can go 50 less, higher side we can go 100 more.
1050, 1100.
Follow him, I think 1050 to 1100 for next 3 months.
You might know from Ethiopia, specialty 1550 to 6050.
I think the whole range is very similar.
Yes, from Chad, I think I'm hearing you now. So I think from Chad will be FOB price for the next 3 months is around 1180 US dollars.
Thanks, Mr. Yasser.
All right, everyone,
Thank
a
you.
big round of applause.